Well, oh, that's a good start. Croak, croak. Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, or tomorrow, everybody. They've gone back to the old byline there. You're watching the Inworld Review, where at least in some parts of the world, it is the 20th of July. 2014. And we're broadcasting live from Chilbo in Second Life, and we're brought to you in association with AView TV. Now, this has been probably an interesting week, but I've forgotten. What a great start that is, eh? We have been highly involved in a 24-hour telethon. It's called Relay for Life in Second Life, an event that is, and we did a telethon part of it. Joined together with all sorts of broadcasters from the virtual world. We all clubbed together for the weekend and partake in a major telethon. We even had some people from SL Japan Television this year, and she's been on the show a few times. Vale Silva from Virtual Voice took part, and the team is healthy, I think. It has been a great event, and we will discuss it a bit later because Petlove, who's in the studio here, was also with me at that event, and we saw it all through camera eyes, shall we say, not to mention a whole week's worth of pre-recordings, which is why I'm not up to date on the news. Anyhow, the only thing I can see in front of me is Second Life versus Kitely from a storyteller's perspective. This was a link, and I can't. It may actually even come from Maria. I can't be sure, but for some reason, this was a link that got a lot of. No, it was from Carrie-Anne Lavelle's blog, and I'll just copy and paste the link in across so that it can get to the channel. The reason I mention this one, apart from the fact it's in my face, is that it is the single most popular retweeted link of mine during the week, which says something about the number of storytellers around, really. It's sort of lots of people I know who write and do storytelling and things in World were sort of retweeting it to each other constantly. So quite an interesting blog, that, if you want to read it. Anyhow, as I said, we did have this marathon. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hand over to Tara and Maria to bring you most of the news while I endeavour to catch up on it while they're talking. However, there was something else I was going to say. Oh, yes. The other major news, as far as I'm concerned, is that the World Ball Kicking Tournament has finally come to an end. And although Anna Miller can't be back with us today, she has promised that she will be here next week. To replace her, we are actually joined by a couple of somethings. I've forgotten what the something's name is, so I'll leave that to Tara. Over to you, Tara.
A couple of somethings. Well, yes, I have to. First off, greetings from the Pacific Northwest of the RLSM, where after a week plus of very hot weather, it's cooled off rather nicely. In fact, we had a little rain this morning, and sufficient rain for at least one of my kitties to decide that the indoors is a little nicer than the outdoors is, which hasn't been the case for a while. Anyhow. Well, to kind of start things off, we have a little show and tell. About a week and a half ago, I managed to make a quick visit to the Breedables Fair, since we're on the subject of Relay for Life. The Breedables Fair is one of the big events leading up to the Relay for Life weekend, and one of the fundraisers for Relay for Life. My find at that was the fact that dodos were about to be released in the wild in Second Life. They indeed, at the Breedables Fair, they said it was going to be a couple of weeks. Well, it turned out to be about a week. And they became available for purchase on Friday. And so I had to hop over there and pick up a couple. And this is them. They will walk around. They talk. They make noises. I actually haven't had my sound on to hear what kind of noises they make. They breed, obviously. The white one that has been on camera or is on camera is a male, and this guy on stage is actually a girl, and and her name is Dee Dee, and I named the guy Dum Dum. And I'm sure I'll come up with other names as time goes along. And sitting on the stage also is one of the eggs for a dodo. This is an egg that has not yet been hatched. The egg actually disappears when the dodo hatches, but the unhatched eggs are very cute too. So anyway, they are now available. The location for same is let me get my notes here. Is Inworld is Oyo Breedables, 2 words, OYO Breedables. Is the sim, and it's oyobreedables.com is their website, and I'll get that in chat here momentarily. Anyway, I'll let you know how it goes with adding some dodo. I positioned the dodos over where I have my little cluster of yes, those guys. Yeah, the other ones. not the kitty cats, of course. Kitty cats have.
You weren't on the telethon, Terry. You can't say that.
I know. I don't have legs. Yes, my dwarfins.
Only
yes,
Mal can get away with that.
Yes. The dodos are wandering around with the dwarfins. I sort of thought that was a good mix. The dwarfins are currently building a forge, which is pretty fun.
Yes, we seem to be joined by a flying Saffra. So
a flying Saffra has just joined us. Yes. Anyhow, enough on birds and dodos and things. You'll see more of these guys. We'll probably keep one around here at some point. Anyway, before I get on to I think what probably was the biggest news of the week, a few items I'll mention here. First off, on Monday, Linden Lab announced a new Experience Keys free game and the return of the cornfield. I haven't had a chance to drop in yet. I figured best to wait. The Experience Keys, for those who haven't been paying attention, is a new tool which enables creators to set up such things as games or other experiences, get your permission to do various things with and to your avatar once, that applies for the duration of when you're in the experience or in the game. So they have set one up so people can get a sense of how they work. It is taking place in the cornfield, and for those who haven't paid attention to Second Life Ancient History, once upon a time there was a place called the cornfield, which is where avatars who misbehaved were banished to. The cornfield apparently had quite a reputation in its day. By the time I came along at about 3 years, if it was around, I didn't hear about it. The only time I've actually seen it is they rezzed it last year, and it was attached. I think it was attached to the birthday SL10B birthday celebration, so you could actually see what the cornfield looked like. And apparently they have brought it back again, and it's now the scene for this game. So it's something worth checking out, and you want to go to the sim is the cornfield to check that out. And you will also want to be running the Second Life viewer, the Experience Keys project viewer. So there's that little bit. Some of you may recall a couple of months back that Mal and I went to one of the productions of Paradise Lost, which is an amazing feat for production of a dramatic endeavor in Second Life. And the good news is, as promised, they are coming back for a second season with it. First show is the 2nd of August. And they'll be running season 2 until October. It's you need to get tickets, and they're available in the marketplace. And yes, they're in the marketplace. If you search for Paradise Lost, I'm sure you'll find it. Oh, it's the Basilisk box office. There we go. Anyhow, yes, definitely worth seeing if you haven't. Absolutely worth 1,000 lindens to get a ticket and to make a point of going. Complete with angel and devil costumes that you get changed into as the story unfolds. Something I think that's gotten some very positive buzz this week from Google. Google Plus has eliminated their restrictions on using non-real names, i.e., being able to use alts or avatar names and that sort of thing. So that has been definitely welcomed. Those of us who have had an avatar name in Google Plus since day one, yeah, it doesn't make any difference. But anyway, that now it's officially okay with Google, and one just has to wonder if ever Facebook might follow suit, or if this could end up being the real distinguisher between Google Plus and Facebook. There are those who say Google Plus never has gotten good traction, but anyway, there's that. And let's see. Okay, now we're on to the big item, and I'm not going to really go into detail on this because I suspect we're going to want to talk further probably next week or thereabouts, once people have had a chance to digest and we see what all the buzz and conversation and back and forth turns out to be. But Second Life issued a new terms of service this week, which included most notably changes to the stuff about content ownership. And I would say the buzz I have seen kind of generically has not been very positive about the change. But at the same time, there are those who are saying, wait a minute, let's get the cart in front of the horse here and back up a few steps. And so I would personally recommend that people spend time reading Mona Eberhardt's analysis and discussion of same. I think it's very well worth some time and energy to read her extended discussion, because I think she gets a lot of nuance in there that really hasn't been in the discussions that took place late last summer and fall, when the issue simply would not go away. Anyway, I certainly would agree with the various comments that they've ended up with a paragraph that would end up with a flunk score from any self-respecting English professor I've ever had. But I'll leave it at that. So and I know we've had some folks kind of wander into the room here. Then I know they're going to want to talk about Relay for Life. So I'll toss it back to you, Mel, and let you move things along while I move some chairs.
Oh, yes, I've got a feeling we might need an extra chair, and if it carries on like this, we might need a room full of chairs, but never mind. Yes, well, thank you very much, Tara. Yes, we have been joined, as far as I can see, by Safra Knightley. Are you there, Safra? Okay, maybe not. I thought she was in the call. Okay, well, we'll come back to that later. And Cinders Vale is around too, but I'm just trying to get her to actually connect to the call because she needs a different account to join us. So before I throw, we'll go over to Maria for the main grid news anyway, while we get organised. Before I throw to Maria, I have, of course, now pulled up a couple of links, largely by way of just promoting the source of the links. The first link comes from a site called the Hyper Gazette. I'm putting my Twitter, putting this in my Twitter feed quite often now because it's a sort of destination type guide dedicated to open sim destinations rather than Second Life. The link I put in here is an interview, in fact, with somebody called Crystal Bruton, owner of Independently Spoken. Again, we get this literary sort of thing coming in quite a lot. As I said, that other link of mine about storytelling went viral during the week. So that's that one. All this is to cue Maria, really. The next one is actually fairly incidental, but it's an article at the New York Times, which is headlined "Where Virtual Meets Real." Now, this actually is more about a thing that's come out during, I guess it was during this week, called Ingress. An ambitious mobile game from none other than Google, which is released for the iPhone and iPad, and it's sort of meant to play it virtually, but using sort of see through your camera to the real world environment. So it's all a wee bit convoluted, but interesting experiment. If it's that or more, we'll see. And another very good open sim blog, finally, is here. It is called Pings from the Afterlife. And the link I'm sending over right now is to a post on Thursday called Safari High. And I haven't actually seen you, Maria, at any of these yet, but I think it's every Tuesday. And now I don't even know myself. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday at around noon. There is a hypergrid safari. It meets on a special little cabin, actually, they've got now on OS Grid, and then departs across the hypergrid for destinations unknown until the point at which we start going there. I had to leave early because of Relay for Life commitments, believe it or not, pre-records and stuff this week, but it sounds like what I missed afterwards was great. We went to one sim first, which was just on OpenSim, and then they followed on with some destinations where they just hypergridded straight into Kitely. So good stuff. I'm trying to make a habit of actually getting to that every week, so that anybody out there who wants to nab me for real, or the virtual real, if you see what I mean, can probably find me at noon Tuesdays on OS Grid. Anyway, those are just a couple of links that came up, which are not from Hypergrid Business. So for the links that are from Hypergrid Business and everything else that is pertinent this week, it's over to Maria. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Mel. I appreciate you having me here again. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hearing you right. Fine. Yes.
So let's see. Hypergrid Safari. Yes, I am actually going to be hosting one of their trips in 2 weeks on July 30th. We're going to be having a tour of Hyperica, and hopefully by then our redesign will be finished and stuff will be working. So everything takes 3 times longer than we think. So I might actually wind up having to reschedule them if it's not done by then. So terms of service. I looked over the terms of service and I read some of the articles about it, including the legal article from the lawyer that I just posted a link to in Skype. And the thing is that they have rearranged the order of a clause in a sentence. The sell, resell, or sublicense went from the beginning of a list to the end of a list. And then they added this clause: with respect to Second Life, Inworld, or otherwise on a service as permitted by you through your interactions with the service. Now, I don't know about you, but I have no idea what that means. It's, when I agreed to this, as I agreed to it last time I visited the Second Life website, I had no idea what I was agreeing to. I don't understand what that means. And the lawyer tried to parse it out, and a couple of other people tried to deconstruct that sentence. And basically the consensus is this doesn't really mean anything. So Second Life is still taking more rights than it should. Some of the fear is overblown. Like it's not like they're going to go into business selling our content, because who really wants Second Life content outside of Second Life, right? I mean, you're not going to take a little prim house and really sell it. Everything's scaled down to work inside Second Life. You know, the movie industry can't use any of the stuff. It's all too low res. So the only thing, my guess, and this is as uninformed as anybody else's guess out there, my guess is that this is related to the fact that they might want to move people's content to Second Life 2. And they can't move your content if they don't have the right to move your content. So they're asking for the right to move the content up front so that they have that bit of it squared away. So if you decide to move your region, they will be able to move your region for you. That's the only conceivable possible use of this I can think of. I mean, I know a lot of artists are upset about, if they're uploading the artwork or if they're uploading their photos, they're giving Second Life rights to these things. And this is a problem, especially for things like CD textures, which have their own licenses. So you still can't upload them to Second Life. CD textures reviewed this new terms of service, and they said, no, still not good enough. This really doesn't make any difference to us.
So I often think that all Second Life or Linden Labs are trying to do, although they're not making it look very easy, is actually reserve the right to showcase content that's been made in their world. This is a bit like, say I'm acting as an agent for an artist who's done a painting, and for some reason a client wants all possible rights, absolutely all rights in it, which is fairly rare. But if the price is right, then you'll concede those rights. But you always retain the right to publish it yourself in a portfolio or things like that. And I think, and I can understand that Linden Labs would want the right to use anything created in Second Life as examples of what's possible on the platform and use it for PR and things like that.
How hard is it to say that?
Well, quite.
Oh my God.
You
said that in 10 words.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard is that?
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tara.
Go ahead.
Somebody, an attorney, to just kind of sit and actually, has skills crafting English, to sit down and knock heads together and say, you idiots, let's write this in a way that makes sense to people reading it. There's a requirement in the United States that things like healthcare policies have to be written in plain English that is comprehensible at a 6th grade level.
Same here.
And why on earth that measure has not been applied to Second Life's terms of service is absurd. It's just, I mean, that paragraph is just it's a train wreck. It is a total train wreck.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. So anyway, if you were a content creator and you were offended by what happened last summer, stay offended. And if you don't care about what happened to the terms of service last summer, you can continue not caring, because really there aren't nobody can see any substantive differences in the new terms of service versus the previous one. But in connection to that, I am urging more OpenSim grids to make their content policies clear in their terms of service. And I posted a sample one up that basically says that we will respect your rights, that we will not do anything else with your content other than what we have specific permission to do. If we're going to use it for marketing purposes, we will ask you first. If we're going to do anything with it that's other than the normal operations of the grid, we will ask you first. So I recommend that OpenSim grids do that and promote that, because that is something that they can offer to content creators, and everybody wants content creators because content creators make content and they attract other people to a grid. Also in connection with that, Casper Vend, they're the maker of a Second Life vending machine that's used by 70% of merchants inside Second Life. They just released some interesting statistics, and I talked to the guy who runs the company, who explained them to me. And basically, since last summer, there has been no dramatic change in the average business that the average merchant does through their system. In fact, it's been increasing. Now, you have to take these things with a grain of salt. For example, if a merchant leaves Second Life, especially if they're down near the bottom, if they're marginal, then them leaving will mean that the average statistics of everyone who's left are going to be a little higher. And also, you do get seasonal downturns. Like every summer, there's a slight dip. So right now we're having a little seasonal downturn. So there's a little dip there. The reason he released these numbers, he said, was to have a baseline, since Second Life itself does not release any economy metrics at all anymore. He said that this could be a baseline for people to see whether there's any reaction to the Second Life version 2 coming out. So a few months later, hopefully he'll release a new set of statistics and we'll be able to compare what happened after the news broke about SLV2 versus before, versus what happened after the terms of service news broke last fall, which was, nothing much. So that's up on the website right now. The other big news this month has been, this past week has been the metrics report that I just released. All the numbers are up.
Yay.
And they're up quite, even though it's summer, even though everybody's off for schools are closed, everybody's vacationing at the beach without their computers, even though one of the major grids did not release their numbers because I mentioned this last month, there's a bug when upgrading from OpenSim 0.76 to 0.8 that several grids encountered. That messes up their statistics. So Metropolis fixed that. Zandramas hasn't fixed that yet. So they didn't have any numbers. Despite that, the top 40 grids gained more than 2,000 regions this month, and they gained 7,000 registered users. So we now have a record high. Well, obviously, users are always going to be a record high because it just keeps increasing. It doesn't go down. We also gained 1,600 new active monthly users, which is also a really high number for OpenSim. So we have a total of close to 47,000 regions in OpenSim right now, which is about twice as many as in Second Life. And it's gonna keep increasing because more and more grids are rolling out variable-sized regions. And this is something I've talked about previously. A variable size region means that you take a region and all the prims on it and all the avatars on it and just stretch it out over more land. So you're not getting more prims, totally keeping the same amount of prims, almost the same load on the computer, but with dramatically more land. So you can have a region that's the size of like 1,000 standard regions. And some grids added them. Why not? The benefit to it, other than the fact that it drives up statistics and makes your grid look bigger, which is what most people automatically jump to. But the benefit of that is that you can have real role-playing games. You can trek across a desert. You can sail a pirate ship across the sea. You can have a space battle in the open reaches of space. You can have room to do stuff, which is I believe a really killer feature of OpenSim, because you just have so much room to play with, and you can have nature hikes, through the fields. You can go hunting wild animals across the plains. You can do stuff with this. You can build a railroad set that's a full-scale model, and across the countryside. You can do fun stuff like that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with these variable regions and how they take advantage of all this land.
I mean, that's incredible for landscape artists, actually, when you think about it. I've seen a few of these, but I mean, I don't actually think I've been on any that are more than the equivalent of 4 sims. They're sizable, by comparison when you think of it as one. But,
right.
The idea of that expansive terrain as all one chunk is fascinating.
Yep.
And no sim boundaries, of course, when you're transversing it.
Yep. So if you want to get a variable region, the major hosting companies are offering this for free. So if you have a standard region, they'll upgrade it to a variable size region for free. Now, it's not going to be the size of 1,000 regions. It'll be the size of 4, 9, or 16 regions usually, because there is some extra load on the computer when you're processing the land. But commercial grids are starting to offer it as well. Specifically, Lost Paradise and Zandramas are both offering variable regions. Um, Lost Paradise, which is a mid-sized commercial grids, has tripled its land area from 440 to 1,500 regions as a result of adding these variable regions. Instead of, I should say, they tripled the land area in terms of standard region equivalents. And this is getting so awkward to say.
Yeah, just a space to walk, basically.
Yes. Now, Zandramas also has added this. And now they're interesting grid because they're a closed commercial grid, but they accept kindly market deliveries, which makes them, I think, unique at last check. And they began offering regions at $35 a pop for unlimited prims this spring. Again, this is unique for commercial grids. Commercial grids tend to have, let's say, premium priced regions. Average region in OpenSim is going to be $12 to $30 a region for like 15,000 prims or 30,000 prims. An average commercial grid region is going to be between $40 and $60 a month, because you're paying for all the extras that the commercial grid brings with it. Often they have customized software, they have Inworld support, they have more marketing that they're doing that you're paying for. They have events, coordinators, mentors. There's stuff that they offer on top of. It's not just bare land. So Zandramas offering a $35 no prim limit region is also really, really unusual. And so what they're doing is, if you want to upgrade this region to a variable region, it costs $15 per upgrade. And what this means is, if you want to add one more standard region equivalent, so your region is twice the size of one region, it's $15 extra. So it's 35 plus 15, which is 50 bucks. If you want to add 3 of them, so it's a 2x2, region. So it's 35 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15.
Right.
So it's a simple kind of a mechanism for calculating this out. So for $80, you can get a 4-region var region, and the prim counts for that is a maximum of 100,000 prims on those 4 regions, which is a pretty good deal. It's an excellent deal for a commercial grid.
Sure.
So when you combine that with kindly market delivery, it's an excellent deal. So what else do I have?
You did a post, which is quite nice of you to do. I think you wrote it. 5 tips for 5 tips for mentoring in the virtual world.
That was a contributed post by one of our freelance writers.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I really like that post. The one thing, it had some really good advice about picking an appropriate venue and clothing and taking advantage of the in-world features. Don't do a meeting in the world that you can just do via Skype or by telephone. Otherwise, you'll just annoy your client. Take advantage of what you've got in there. But as part of that, because I was the one picking illustrations for this, and I came across a nice set of illustrations.
Yeah, carry on. I think I remember this. I'm opening the link.
Yeah. So I'm the one who picked the photos, because I didn't like the photos that came with the article. And I came across VenueGen, a company I've written about several times before. And they had some really nice illustrations of 2 people talking in a virtual setting. That were just the perfect illustrations of the mentoring system. And they had them on a boat, in a corporate office, in a cafe, all these up in space, all these different settings. And I looked to double check what the prices were, since I'm mentioning this company, what do they do? Their virtual meetings are free if you have 3 people or less in a meeting. And the way it works is, you log into the website, you say schedule a meeting. They give you a choice of environments to start with. You pick that environment, you hit the start button, you're inside, you're working, you're in a meeting, you can invite anybody you want. It is the fastest way to get somebody into a virtual environment. It is a super drop simple interface. There's no in-world content creation. You're not going to be designing buildings in there. You're not going to be creating the complex simulations. Most you're going to be able to do is slap a document or a website on an in-world screen, and they give you lots of in-world screens for doing that.
It gives people a teaser, doesn't it, for what
And
virtual world's all about? That's
exactly.
yeah.
And if that's all you do, if you're sitting around talking to people, doing maybe some role playing, some training that involves, talking people through things, and you need some website posters up around you, it is a great way to do that. And the settings are really, really pretty. Like I mentioned, the boat. You can be in a skyscraper, in an office on top of a skyscraper. You can be in a little cafe in a street, in a courtyard. There's one in outer space where you're in a space station. There's one where you're in an aquarium with fish swimming around you. And it's so easy and it's free. Like, oh my God, I had no idea. I mean, I guess I kind of had an idea because I've written about them before, but I've totally forgotten that this was available as an option. So if you want to introduce people gently to a virtual environment, that this is all browser based. So it's very, very, very kind of easy, smooth way to get in and start going. So I recommend that people try it out, see if it works for you. And they have a paid plan for when you have larger meetings, but it's pretty reasonable. I think it's like $50 a month. The starting paying level, which is still, I mean, compared to like Second Life prices, it's still a huge bargain. So, but again, no in-world building. You take what they give you. But if it works for you, hey, why not? Hey. So Google, was it Tara mentioned Google Plus? Getting rid of the real name policy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that news because here in OpenSim, the Open Sim communities on Google Plus have been exploding. OpenSim Virtual is the biggest one. It's got close to 800 active users. Which is that's a really big number for OpenSim.
I've lost count of the communities I'm in on Google Plus, and I think only maybe 4 or 5 are Second Life. All the rest are OpenSim ones. So
it's really exploding. And so I have them listed. If you go to my webpage under the Resources tab, there's a list. There's a button that says Best Metaverse Communities. And I list all the ones with their numbers. I list all the grid forums, Facebook pages, and the Google Plus section is just growing bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. I really like using Google Plus because it's very easy to navigate. It's very easy to control the subscription settings. It's very easy to participate in discussions. You can post photos, videos, all sorts of stuff, and it's easy to link to and it's easy to share. So and now with the doing away with the real names policy, it really seems like a really great fit for virtual worlds.
It's funny, it's quite controversial because there's a load of people I know who really like Google Plus. There's others who won't touch it, yet they're all on the fastbook, which is really unmanageable in my opinion. I guess they've got a very different way of organizing the interface. You got your communities, you got your groups, and you got your posts. But once you get used to it, it's great. Yeah.
Well, some of it is personal preference. And originally, I wasn't particularly fond of Google Plus. I didn't see a point to it, but once I saw one post and another post and another, all of a sudden you kind of get used to the interface. Then once you get used to it, you're like, oh, I really like it, But it is a personal preference. Some people are not going to like it, and it is very much an early adopter thing because it's a new platform and Facebook has been around for a really long time. So that also for some people, adds to the stigma. And another problem with it is that they recently lost their chief, the guy in charge of Google Plus. But the new guy who took over said that Google has no intention of shutting it down. like they've shut down Google Wave, which was the previous attempt to do this.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So there was a little paranoia flying around. Google Plus was also going to get shut down, and he said that there's no plans to shut down Google Plus, and that it has hundreds of millions of users, which is, I mean, it's not Facebook level with like billions of users, but it's still not bad. And specifically on the OpenSim side, it's doing really well. Yeah. So
I suspect it's one of those things that if they continue it going, could, as Facebook is in decline, I think that Google Plus could take off. But ironically, not because of itself, but because of its integration with the Google ecosystem, and everybody at some point goes to Google, and it'd be a gradual sort of adoption. Oh, they've got that thing too. I'll add it to my ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So, a lot of stuff happening this month. Third Rock Grid is preparing for the hypergrid.
Very good.
So I didn't do a separate article on them. I will when they actually launch the hypergrid. But they have a beta grid already set up that people can visit. And they're testing how well it's working out. And they're hoping to go live with it pretty soon. So it's very exciting. They're one of the mid-sized closed commercial grids. They're known for their music. They're the live music scene. And once they open up to the hypergrid, then instead of having just their couple of hundred active users coming to these events, they can market their events to the 10,000 people out on a hypergrid every month. So it will open them up to a much bigger audience for their events, for their artists. And it will also allow residents to take deliveries from Kitely Market. Because if you're a merchant, selling to a few hundred people on Third Rock Grid isn't that big a market. It's hardly worth your time to go in there. Whereas if you're selling to thousands of people on the hypergrid, including high-end corporate and education clients who are paying real money for content, then that becomes much more attractive. So. So it grows that way. You already mentioned the hypergrid tours. There's also another tour called the Adventurers Club, which is on Littlefield, and they had and they will be holding a tour today at 2 p.m. Pacific. So when is that?
That might be about the time the show finishes.
Oh, excellent, perfect. So 2 p.m. Pacific time today, they will tour the Mill Run region, which is designed by award-winning builder Cameron Darkstone, and it's a build of the Falling Water home by Frank Lloyd Wright. And according to Walter Balazic, who's the grid owner, the builder actually visited this building in real life and created the original textures, landscaping, furnishings, the whole thing, to make it as realistic as possible. So if you're an architecture buff, or if you just like traveling to hypergrid and seeing what's out there, this little field is fully hypergrid accessible, and I urge you to go. And it's, if you want the link to it, it's in the OpenSymmetrics story, which I will post.
It's a while, but I've actually been to that grid. It's lovely. So
they're a community grid, which is one of the nice things that you can do in OpenSim. They're run, it's all volunteer based, and people are donating content to this grid. They started out as an alternative lifestyle grid, but they've become a more general purpose social world over time. And everything there is free. But just check the licenses. You might not be able to take the stuff off grid for stuff you buy, so be careful about there. All right, so let's see. There's a bunch of minor grids. Speaking of Kitely, Queer Citizen Grid has shut down and moved to Kitely. So they serve the GLBT community, and they now have 5 islands on Kitely. It's all hypergrid enabled.
Oh, well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Anything from the Yo-Yo grid this week? Is it up or down?
I was just about to say that. They have shut down again.
Oh, this is just getting
Oh.
absurd.
I know. The thing that gets to me is, come on, suspend the grid. Don't shut it. So, but he shut it down. And whenever he does this, he shuts down the website. He shuts down the Facebook page. He shuts down the Twitter feed. So you can't even keep up with what they're doing while they're down. Are they going to come up? Every other grid, because other grids also have server migrations or hosting problems and stuff like that. They keep all their websites up. They keep all the communication channels open. They say things. Okay, we fixed the server. Now we're going to do an upgrade. Now we're going to do a backup, and then we're going to be up again on Wednesday. They keep people up to date as to what they're doing because they have a community they're responsible to. So Ivy Worlds has to do things differently, I guess. They have shut down. He didn't explain why Kitely was a bad fit. He just said it didn't work out.
How did it not work out within a week? You think they did a bit of research before? I can't stop laughing.
The thing is that they've tried everything else. They've been self-hosted. They've been on Dreamland Metaverse. They've been on ZetaMax. Now they've been on Kitely for like a minute. Come on.
Is there actually anywhere else they can go? I suppose they could go to.
Know. I mean, there's smaller hosting providers in Europe. There's, in fact, there's a long list of them. I've got them up on my website. There's a lot of them. But they tend to be niche. Although they provide local support. I believe there's a Brazilian hosting company. There might be a Spanish one. He might try them next.
It just seems daft to me. I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't know what he's doing with his grid. It's, you can't just change places all the while it's going to be. I mean, especially if there was any significance to the grid.
After a while, you just have to say, it's not them, it's you. Yeah.
Well, it's like logging into Second Life and they suddenly tell you, sorry, we moved our servers to England. You'll have to, you'll have to come to
it occurs to me that besides calling them the Yo-Yo Grid, we could always also call them Whacker Grid.
Because they keep popping back up. Yeah. Oh. Now, I mentioned ZetaMax a second ago as one of the hosting providers that they use. And a couple of weeks back, I wrote an article ripping apart their website redesign. I was so mean. Everything was wrong. And I want to point out that they are in the process of a new redesign, and I love it. It looks gorgeous. It's clear. It's simple. They've simplified their pricing. Like formerly, they used to have like multiple tiers of prices depending on how many prims and servers, and then a cloud and a traditional option for each one with slightly different configurations. And it was just real big mess. They've simplified it all down, just a very simple options. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to hearing more about, now this is still in development, so this may change, but they have a $35 a month region up with unlimited prims and 100 simultaneous avatars.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So that is an excellent deal. Now, and they also have...
are there servers holding the 100 avatars?
I mean, have they been tested for 100,000 avatars? I don't know. I have not personally tested them. I do know that they're running these servers on a hybrid model, and that they can scale up when they need to. So, and I do know that Kitely can hold up to 100 avatars. They're on the Amazon cloud, and if there's a big event, they just throw it to a bigger server. So that is a really nice feature of OpenSim. Now, it does take some technical skills to be able to configure it to run in the cloud. You don't just, press a button, download the software, and upload it to Amazon. You do have to configure it and have the load balancing and other stuff on there. And the fact that ZeniMax is stepping up and doing this kind of work is really important. So I'm really glad they're doing that. Other prices, they start at $20 a month for 20,000 prims. And for a region that can be scaled up to 4 regions in size. I mentioned scaling to you guys. So for $20 a month, you can get a single region with 20,000 prims, or you can scale it up to a 2x2 region at no additional cost. All the way up to $80 a month for 120,000 prims, and you can scale it up from 1 to 16 regions in size. So excellent deal. So if you got 16 regions at $80 a month, that's okay. I can't calculate that in my head.
Well, it's more than the VAR region, but it's still a good deal.
Clear.
Yeah.
Well, those probably are VAR regions.
Oh.
And that's why they can offer this deal. So 80 divided by 16, that's 5. Really, is that $5 a region? It is $5 a region, and 120,000 prims divided by 16, that's 7,500 prims a region. So $5 for 7,500 prims.
Yeah.
That is a really decent deal. Yeah, and this is a VAR region. Or a mega region, there will be no border crossings. So, excellent deal, and I recommend people take a look at them. The advantage of using a hosting provider instead of renting from a grid directly is that you get a lot more control. You can attach your regions to an existing grid, or you can have them running as a standalone. You can, there's a little bit of an extra charge to turn it into a full region, $25 a month from ZeniMax, which is also a really low price. And then you can move the whole thing from one hosting provider to another. You can make a backup of the entire thing, save all the regions, save all the inventories. So a lot of control, but you get bare land. You get technical support, but you don't get in-world mentoring. You don't get freebie stores. You don't get a set of, all the stuff that comes with having a grid. So if you're a school or somebody who needs just empty space without all the grid handholding, getting independent hosting from ZeniMax or Dreamland is a great way to go. All right, what I want to talk more about. I wanted to talk about open sim goals.
Okay, before we go...
Nightly market.
I was just thinking, before we go into the greater conversation and Relay for Life, I'm going to, we had 2 guests pop in, and at the moment they're sitting in the audience. And I would really love it if they came and took the 2 seats before I bring them in on, as I'm bringing them on voice, if they came and took the 2 seats on the stage. I'll basically, if you guys fancy popping up onto the stage here, then I'll bring you in on voice to introduce you. Otherwise, we're going to have Petlove's camera spinning all over the place between the audience and the stage. So let's see. I'm hoping. Yes, what? Here we are.
Something you don't like, Mal?
No, that is absolutely fine. Well, okay. First of all, I'd like to welcome Cinders Vale. Hi, Cinders.
Hello, Mal. Hello, everyone.
Right. Now, Cinders, along with Sappho, who's hopefully going to emerge shortly, have been involved with Relay for Life with us over the past, I don't know, whatever it's been, 24 hours, it seems like more. And a great thing it's been. But of course, Cinders, you work with Pet, don't you, on Happy Hunting, and you're involved.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're involved in all sorts of other things. So I suspect when it comes to commerce and hunting, you probably have an interest there. So, I know Maria's. We tend to talk a lot about the hybrid grid and open sims here, which are really like Second Life, but you've got lots of Second Lives all joined together, and the incumbent problems that come with transporting inventories and permissions and stuff like that. But I thought I'd get you up here now so you can join the conversation as and when, and then we'll move on to Relay for Life in a minute. And I believe we have on voice, even if she hasn't parked her butt, so to speak, yet. I think we've got Safra. Are you there, Safra? Well, Safra has a brilliant time multitasking, so I guess we'll get her when she's back attending to the call. Okay, and something I was going to bring in, just I'll let you continue, Maria, on the lead the discussions for a minute. I did have 2 posts here, which I'm putting a link in over to the channel. It's our friends Road to VR again. Now, on Friday, they actually had a live VR roundtable discussion. Join Road to VR for a live VR roundtable discussion in virtual reality. Yes, inside virtual reality. And they've actually been using, and I imagine you might have come across this, Maria, is oh God, I've forgotten the name again already. Rift Max software. Have you heard of this?
No, but it sounds like something I should be investigating.
Well, basically, they publish 2, would you believe, television shows a week. One is a sort of karaoke thing, and the other is a kind of discussion sort of program about VR. And it's, when they say in VR, it is not like Second Life or even the Hypergrid per se. It's the RiftMat software is literally like a player you download and then you log in. But what they do is they have a stage a bit like this one. They carry on conversations and they invite anybody to log into the audience seats. So it's like a virtual television studio. The second program they do is some kind of karaoke thing. And also the look of it is not as rich creatively, I should say, at least. It looks very slick, but it doesn't look sort of, it hasn't got that creative look that we love in our virtual worlds. But I thought this is worth mentioning because I've now downloaded a whole load of the recordings done in this studio, and I'm getting rather excited about it. I'm less excited about the content in the sense that I'm not so keen on these presenters as I might be, but the notion of doing it and the fact that they've just gone straight in to this system, and I believe it can also be delivered by, I think it's called Steam or something, and there's an Oculus Rift version, so if you have an Oculus Rift you can actually enter the 3D TV studio. Well, I think maybe we'll investigate that a bit more and talk about it another week. Since I imagine I'm the only one who's seen it so far, but
so I've got my homework cut out for me. All right.
Yeah, this is called what you're looking for, folks. If you want to investigate this and contribute to the conversation, is I guess if you Google it, you want to look for Rift Max. That's RIFT. MAX software, and it's standalone software, a bit like a Second Life or a video player, and you go in with that. And I gather there's quite a few other things done with RiftMax. It's just that these 2 TV shows are the ones that came to my attention, and they're clearly trying to get their foot in the door as the TV show for the VR enthusiast. Yeah, we do it virtually. So we're moving together slowly but surely. I don't know where we'll have Relay for Life in Rift Max for a few years, but it's interesting development anyway. I see Safra has actually joined us up on the stage too. So if you're on voice, welcome, Safra.
Hello. Yeah.
Right, okay. I welcomed you a few minutes ago, but I couldn't get a reply. So welcome to the show. I was just saying you also are a member of many communities, and you're the person who's been doing all the audio mixing for us over the telethon. Congratulations on all that, by the way. And we'll move into a relay conversation in a bit. We'll just cover our metaverse bits first of all. I've also got a link. These only happen now and again, but there is a viewer made by the former Imprudence people, which is called the Kokura viewer. It works. Oops, that didn't come across. Hang on. Copy. Maybe I pasted and pasted. That wouldn't be very helpful, would it? Right, there we go. Basically, they've got a new version released. It's 3.71.12, and like most viewers, this will work for Second Life. It is a Second Life third-party viewer, but the story was that it was always focused on OpenSim. And in its day, of course, Imprudence tended to be the most popular OpenSim viewer, although I think maybe Singularity has sort of replaced it as people's top choice these days. Or Firestorm, of course.
Yeah. I had to switch back to Imprudence last on Thursday. I was going to a meeting and I kept showing up naked. So finally, I'm like, that's it. Imprudence it is. All right.
Okay, so any other highlights before we move on to charities and fundraising and exhaust?
Sure. A couple of weeks ago, Kitely got rid of the metered, changed its pricing plan and got rid of a popular free option. And the number of products in the marketplace dipped slightly. Well, I'm reporting this week that the growth went right back up again. And in fact, its active user count is 909, a record high, and it gained 1,400 new registered users, its second best month in history. Also, a really good performance, especially given the summer months.
Yes, exactly.
So excellent show for Kitely. And a new adult grid, a virtual paradise, is launched. And they sent me a launch announcement. And I also discovered another adult grid called The Adult Grid, which...
yeah, I think I've seen that one. Actually, a bit obvious, isn't it?
I hadn't heard of before, and that's out there too. And related to the Google Plus announcement, Avatar Social Network has launched. And they're basically Facebook for avatars. And their main shtick is that they will pay people in virtual currency for posting on their bulletin boards. So I don't know how well that's going to work out. We have the SL universe already for people just discussing tons of stuff, and there's a lot of people on it. Avatar Hookup launched about a month or two ago, and I don't think they've had any take-up at all. I don't expect Avatar Social Network to particularly do well. It's really hard to launch a new social network because everybody already has a place to go. And with Google Plus, because one of the things that they're trying to do is trying to bring communities over and have community pages set up. And with Google Plus, it's just a lot easier. And it's searchable. And it's, like you said, it's already integrated with everything else you already do. So it's just really convenient. All right. The Camor
One thing that does occur to me on that is that now we have grid-wide groups in OpenSim.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
These are actually like Second Life groups, but you can form a group and people can join it from multiple grids, and you still have in-world communication right across the grids using the hypergrid. Mm-hmm. And if somebody actually did create a sort of avatar club site, as it were, that actually actively linked to that system, so that it was intrinsically tied in with the web and with cross-grid groups, I think there might be some potential there.
And I think it's going to happen. It's which reminds me, I'm going to I want to finish up by talking about long-term goals for OpenSim. But before I do that, I want to mention the Tangle Grid Fashion Expo is starting on July 26th. And this is a multi-grid event. Now, Tangle Grid was previously known for holding the Steampunk Expo about a month back. They were a closed commercial grid, but when they announced the Steampunk event on the Google Plus communities, everybody kept asking for the hypergrid link so they can teleport in. So they opened up to the hypergrid, And I guess it worked out well enough that they're doing a second expo. So for as far as I know, this is the first like hypergrid enabled fashion expo that a grid is doing, that they're inviting their entire hypergrid to and are promoting to the entire hypergrid. So I'm going to be doing an article about them this week after I get a little bit more information about it. But people can go to tanglegrid.com directly to the website to find out more information until then, or go to one of the many Google Plus communities like OpenSim Virtual, where this information is posted.
That's that's great. I mean, it's proof of well, it might be proof of functionality, really. You do a steampunk thing, you open it to the public. Oh wow, this is good. We'll have a fashion thing now. But
yes.
Also, it's indicative of the traction of the hypergrid.
Yes.
I mean, back when it was just educators and techies, if there was such a time, fashion was not exactly a priority like it is in Second Life, for example. But clearly now it's gone beyond educators needing a school uniform and businessmen needing a suit. Fashion, is taking off as its whole own thing across the grids.
And it's also a sign that we're finally getting community-oriented people into OpenSim. Before, you had to be a techie to do it. You had to have a university tech department or be a programmer yourself to set up a grid. And all the early grids are really technology-focused and very bare bones as far as community stuff goes. But now that you can have like Dreamland or ZetaMax or another hosting company do all your tech stuff for you, it means you can be a non-techie. Pay a small amount. I mean, like I mentioned, the ZetaMax prices, I mean, those are really low. And what you would do is you would private label your own land sales on top of that. So you would charge commercial rates, give them half to take care of the hosting, keep your half and put it towards community building, and just focus on the stuff that you know how to do, which is building community, holding events, holding fashion shows, all the stuff that people actually want to do on the hypergrid. And so I'm really excited about this. And I'm really happy that the hypergrid is getting stable enough and usable enough that people are holding more and more of these events.
And it's not just free fashions either, because you've got things like the marketplace, which like the Second Life marketplace in a way, they can support people who want to go in there to market fashion and stuff like that.
You can sell real stuff, and you can have a link to your Kindly Market store Inworld. So if people like your promo, they can go to the marketplace right then and there and buy whatever they want. So, yeah, very, very good. So a little bit of hardware news. The Kmor headset, which is a Polish company, CMOAR. It's like the Google Cardboard, except it's made of plastic instead of cardboard. Has relaunched their Kickstarter. The price they cut the price of the headset in half, because after launching it the first time, they were able to learn about new production options and stuff, and so it now costs about $100, which is a much lower price than about half what they had before, and it's not made of cardboard. So good thing. Kickstarter, check it out. And finally, I've posted an article about long-term OpenSim goals. A couple of people several readers were wondering what's going to happen to OpenSim now that Second Life is changing and High Fidelity is coming on board and we have all this virtual reality stuff. Is there still a future for OpenSim? What's going to happen to it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a poll about what people think should be the top priorities for OpenSim, because OpenSim is a user-propelled project. We don't have a leading technology vendor pushing it forward. We don't have a single company kind of owning it like you have with, like, say, Ubuntu Linux or Drupal or WordPress. This is a fully bottom-up kind of thing. We've got contributors from all walks of life: academics, entrepreneurs, big corporations, small hobbyists, independent developers, everybody. It's a unique kind of open source project. And so and we are driven by community interest. So I've been asking people to make suggestions for what they would like to see as part of OpenSim's long-term planning. And I'm going to do a survey about what people think should be the top priorities, and maybe make a presentation about it at the OpenSim Community Conference later on. So if you have something to suggest, you can go to hypergridbusiness.com and comment on that post, or you can email me directly at maria@hypergridbusiness.com. For example, one of the things I would like to see is more built-in focus on events. When we talk about in-world search, people think of traditional search. You look for things. You type in a word and you try to find a keyword. But this doesn't work in OpenSim because every single object is called primitive. So
that doesn't help.
and the regions all have crazy names that have nothing to do with what's actually going on in that region. But if you were to search events and groups, like, for example, the speechwriters group is having how to do a speech meeting tonight, that's actually useful and relevant and something you would want to search for and go to. So I would really love to see some kind of a built-in functionality to allow people to search, to connect groups with events, with in-world events, and to be able to search both of those things to find out what's happening with storytelling in the next couple of days, or where are the singles meetups this week, or what live music is playing where, that kind of stuff. That I think would be really, really useful.
So do I. I mean, in some senses, these days, that's even a problem in Second Life, because only you can search events, people, and all that stuff. You can search, search your inventory and keywords, But it's very hard for somebody to actually come in World and say, right, I'm interested in storytelling, and, easily find the community they want, the group, whatever. They can probably look in events and stuff like that, but, they can search groups. But the way it's set up is actually very difficult. There's no quick way of pinpointing your interest and then giving you a list of everything that, it relates to your interest. So a system that does that, I think, is that's what search is all about, and has made a success of quite a number of companies we know of on the web.
So the way I'm thinking of it will work, if it's a group you're a member of, their events will come up on top. If it's a group that your friends are members of, that would come up higher in the listings. And if it's a group with a lot of members, their events would come up higher in the listings as well.
Right.
So that you would have a way to rank them instead of like alphabetically, because it's growing. So there's going to be like millions of these things. How are you going to prioritize them? Well, prioritize them by group, and by associating events with groups, you would actually have a useful way to search and find and discover new events that you might be interested in. So that's my personal contribution to OpenSim's long-term planning.
Great.
All right. So that's what I'm going to be doing this coming week.
Great.
That and finding out about this Rift Max thing.
Yes, exactly. Well, I might join you on that, because it's something I've really got to explore, because I can possibly see the potential for broadcasting, even though it is not quite what we're used to. It may well be something important lurking. Right. Okay. Well, let's move into. I hope you're still joining the conversation, Maria. We're actually going to move back almost really to Second Life now, because I mentioned earlier that we've just finished a 24-hour telethon for a major event, and we were literally sitting there congratulating ourselves 15 minutes before this show. It was a really fast switchover, but the telethon was part of the Relay for Life weekend, begun by the American Cancer Society. Well, run, I should say, by the American Cancer Society, and it is by far the biggest example anywhere of a fundraising event that happens in a virtual world. It is more or less only Second Life at the moment, but the money it raises is phenomenal. They were trying to reach a target of 401k, which means something to Americans, but not me. But it's still a good figure. And that was exceeded before we were even on air today. So they're way past that already. And it seems every year, we don't know what the final totals are, but every year it just seems to pull more and more donations in, the majority of which, offer research, as has been pointed out continually through the event. It's called the American Cancer Society, but they have branches all over the world. They're invested in research things all over the world, just as Macmillan or somebody in the UK has international branches. The research thing knows no boundaries. The cure for cancer, which is what it's about, has no boundaries. When the cures are found, and it benefits the whole world. There are national specific things like care and stuff that falls into local territories, but at the end of the day, it's just a massive drive to improve the research and hopefully find a cure for cancer. So it is an amazing event. Now, Petlove, hi Pet, has been only one of the many film personnel filming this, but she was one of our principal cameras, so you definitely got out and about a bit, didn't you, Pet? And you
Sure
and
did.
you also we were working all week as well, doing pre-records, doing other interviews too. So
It's been busy. Yep, it's been very busy.
Yeah, and like me, I'm amazed we're both not collapsed and we still made it to the show.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, and Safra has been doing very much the same thing. I've been in the studio coordinating all these cameras at Livestream, of course, and they were rather long shifts to say the least. But Safra here, you, of course, have been doing the other important job, which people often don't realize, which has actually been, amongst doing quite a lot of things as this year's producer, you've been doing the audio mixing, which is also a major feat because it involves pulling people in and out of the main Skype call that's continuously attached to each camera, and also mixing in feeds from things like T1 Radio for the Luminaria, and also the events at the beginning and end that we just had. So that has been a major thing. How do you feel it went?
From my point of view, it's gone very, very well. It's been a long week. So we spent a lot of time during the week. Tuesday to Friday, about 6 hours every evening, running around doing these pre-recordings. And then we just done something around about 26 hours, I think. So we had the pre-shows, the after-shows of also doing a lot of audio streaming and doing the actual telethon, the 24 hours, the ceremonies, the interviews, and everything else as well. I think we've done a phenomenal job.
Sorry?
I did sit down and I worked out something I've done nearly 10 hours a day on average for the last 5 days.
5 days, yeah, phenomenal. Yeah, I think we all have. Your voice is actually breaking up on us slightly. I mean, we can understand you, but it's stunted. I'm not quite sure why, but the list goes on. If I look at the list on the production sheet of the stuff you've been doing, because you've been also running around sims and things, teleporting people over to where they're meant to be and stuff like that. So it's not even just been the audio mixing, which is a phenomenal undertaking. And Cinders, of course, you have been taking your turns on the news desk at various points throughout the 24 hour. How do you feel it's gone?
I think it went very, very well because, it's Second Life. Glitches are going to happen, lag's going to happen. Teleporting can be problematic at times, but despite the usual issues, I think it went off very, very well, and I certainly appreciate all the hard work that Safra and Petlove and everyone else put in behind the scenes, doing all of the arranging, scheduling, and all of the tech stuff. I just think they're just such a awesome group of people, And they all are certainly deserving of at least a 4-hour nap. And you felt yourself too. I mean, I know you were working very hard now.
Oh, yes. I only got in twice, but I was lurking behind the scenes for pretty much the whole thing. So, yes, indeed. Actually, Cinders, you must feel rather at home on this stage with all these. Every time we come on air and Tara has got these things for us, I always comment here that it feels more like happy hunting every week because we got things scattered all over the stage. But of course, you're the host of Happy Hunting too, so that hunting, as we've often said, is such a major thing in Second Life. And actually, I'd be intrigued to have a multi-grid hunt, on on the hypergrid. Obviously, it can link to Second Life, but can you imagine sort of logging into OS Grid or something and then finding one object and then getting the clue to take you to another grid entirely.
Puts a whole nother level on it. You'd really they'd really have to have all their facts straight before they try to get people to make that work. It would have to be a really smooth running system.
And very detailed. That
Yes.
would certainly be one of the most challenging. Yeah, throw it at the Mad Peas or Twisted.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be that challenging actually, because teleporting across grids is just as easy as teleporting to different regions in Second Life. So, but yeah, it'd be an epic simply in terms of land volume. It's like having a bigger than a grid wide hunt in Second Life.
Metagrid hunt.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Go
maybe
ahead.
we can do one for the Open Sim Community Convention. I will suggest it to the organizers as an event.
Could do just on the that is a source.
Maybe on a simple
Yeah.
level, like not 50 stops, but maybe 10 or so. Something not too
Yeah,
complicated.
well, one stop on each of the main grids and a couple of hidden parcels at Avacons itself or something. That could be it's as added attraction. But also, it occurred to me, Cinders, that when I watch Happy Hunting, there's as much attention paid not just to the hunts, but the prizes in the hunts. So there's we get good big commentary from you on the objects or the fashions and the various things that are actually prizes in the hunts. And have you any of you at all been on OpenSim or on the Hypergrid at all?
No, I have not. I have been to Inworlds, but that's as far as I've gone. And as for the doing the gifts, well, that is kind of the main focus of many of the hunters. So I like I like showing off what some of the gifts are. I mean, our show is shorter this season and much more focused on the gifts, but I could be on there for hours if I had to do all of the items in one hunt.
That's right. We just show you a little bit. You might see like an eighth of all the things available in all the hunts we reveal. Seriously, and we're going to try to show more. We are starting to try to show more.
And to top that, there's so many darn hunts you can't possibly even cover all of those. I mean, look at the blogs. There's a Friday one I always post on Twitter, which is the Friday Hunt Report or something. It's just a long list of closings, openings. You'd have to have a 24-hour channel devoted to hunting.
It's good to know, though, and for people who have a parcel or a house to decorate, or people who are getting, having a wedding or want to have kids and clothes and toys, you can get so much wonderful stuff for no lindens, or maybe 1 or 5 lindens each.
Yeah.
Or you can go ahead and spend 300 to 500 to 1,000 lindens on each item. It's up to you. But so many people don't realize just what's out there. These creators, they go to a lot of trouble. It's to their benefit to a certain degree too. You get to be familiar with their store. Maybe you'll go back, but still, what they provide us with is tons and tons of stuff, right, Cinders?
Yes, they do, and I use hunts as a resource for finding specific kinds of stores. Like when I wanted to find more textures to use for the sets, I used the hunts. in order to find them. Because let's face it, if you use search, if they don't put their store in classified, you can't find them because they don't come up if you put in textures.
That's right.
But this is actually something I'd say quite a lot, because I love hunting even now. But I imagine, if you're a newbie, for example, as to coin the phrase, and you come in, you haven't got money to spend on things, even if you stumble into a shop and you think, that's
and you don't
20,000 lindens. Where do you get the 20,000 lindens?
Is that much? Right.
Well, no, I'm going top of the range there. But, I mean, the idea is that it's not just that you get these prizes, but it's such a good way to explore the grid. If you're just standing there and thinking,
meet people.
I don't want to click on the map and just, you can click on the map and go anywhere. But isn't it just a bit more fun if you're following a trail and, you've got a sort of purpose there and you discover things as you go?
And you meet other people. You meet other people. Yes. They help you. You can help each other. I mean, not show where the prizes are, but you can certainly support each other. And that's another important thing.
I was going to say, they're not meant to show you where the prizes are. I remember the first time I've arrived somewhere and say, yes, it's under the tree on the left.
What?
No, Mel. No, Mel. What you do is you don't say a word in either local or private chat. Yeah. You just boing in place until they notice you, and then you leave.
Cinders.
That's
subtle.
Well, sometimes you can tell by if you pull up the local map and you watch where the dots are going.
Yeah, after a while something stands out.
After a while you may get a real. Of course, we won't talk about what the real cheat tool is, but
yeah,
there are a couple of them. My favorite hunts are the ones where they just scatter them about the floor and in the corners. That's about as good as I am. I'm terrible at hunting.
I will play ball for a while, but if I get really frustrated, I go to object search, and you often find that the prizes have got the same name.
I can't believe.
But remember, Mel, a lot of hunt organizers encourage the participating merchants to rename the hunt object, so you can't use that advantage.
Oh, it's not foolproof, and I say it's a last resort. I mean, it frequently doesn't work.
I saw one where the hunt object disappeared and moved around the store. Like they had 10 of them, and so it's there 1 minute, then you got to go find it all over again if you're not quick enough.
Now that's what I.
I did that one. Yes.
Tricky.
But also, hunting is a great teaching tool for newbies because, boy, you are going to get a crash course in learning how to use the camera controls.
Yes.
That's true. Cinders, I would definitely second your comment about it being a way to get acquainted with designers and to find designers whose work you like. And I can think of any number of designers that I first encountered thanks to a hunt, and a good many hunts where I've gotten distracted by checking out the rest of the store because I really like their stuff, whether it's clothes or household whatevers, or just it's always fun to see the stuff that's being done. So, and you don't have to be a newbie to appreciate that value.
That's
right.
I
even like wandering outside of the store or whatever, and I will explore the sim. I've found some absolutely fantastic places by not rushing right off, especially when the teleport system seems to be acting up a little bit. I wander around.
Gives you something to do, see?
Yeah, and I've found other great places and stores just by doing that. It's like, well, how long have you been here? Or that's what I was looking for. Oh, wow, look what this person has made.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent.
Because because it's like someone told me a long time ago, we forget that some of the biggest store creator names here in Second Life right now, they all started out as beginners, and they all started out, most of them, with tiny little stores, or they started out with a rented stall somewhere. But they kept working at it and listening to their customers and understanding customer service. And they kept, whether they went to NCI, Rockcliffe, Builders Brewery, or they went online and watched tutorials, they kept honing and improving their building and creating skills until they became the names they are now because they kept working at it.
Now, how do going on a couple of tangents here? How do you, one's about relay, but one also is about the hunts and things. But both sort of relate to OpenSim and sort of the hypergrid sort of thing. How well, I'll start with what Maria was talking about earlier, which is these things we have now called VAR grids or VAR grids, depending on your method of pronunciation. We had, what was it, 40 sims up or more for relay? It was quite
something around that, yes.
Yeah, and each of those sims has a cost and a weight according to Linden Lab. I mean, sort of each counts as a sim. There's so many prims on that sim. But when you think of the idea that you could maybe bring 48 equivalent sims up as one massive block, where they still have the same land for the track and for the exhibits and the telethon and everything else like that. Now, I know Relay for Life, 4 Second Life is not going to move to OpenSim, but I'm sort of wondering, I was thinking of the potential for this sort of thing, because the event itself, it would cost less and probably, I doubt if it would raise more, particularly because you'd have to get people into OpenSim. But if there was a similar event, it started up on an open simulator using far regions, I imagine we could overcome masses of the sort of lag and the the restrictions we had in place over the course of this weekend.
I know that.
A few years from now, maybe.
Sorry,
I know that they have got a Relay for Life. They're working on a Relay for Life in OpenGrid, which is another SL alternative.
Which?
OnRes. OnRes?
Oh, OnRes. Right.
Yep.
I thought OnRes is a viewer, I think, isn't it? Or have I got? I may be completely mistaken.
They're not
no,
a grid.
You said OpenGrid, though, Safra. Maybe you're thinking of OpenSim.
Yep.
Yeah.
It could be OpenSim, but I know they were talking about a Relay for Life on OnRes, I believe it's called.
Okay.
Which is supposed to be a non-SL grid, an alternative to SL.
Inworlds has one, don't they? Inworlds?
Yeah.
Inworlds does actually have a relay drive of their own, but they're very much like Second Life. They're a smaller grid, but they've got huge traction, and but they're a closed grid. They're not on hypergrid. So the idea with the hypergrid is something like relay. Would, if there was a duplicate track there, even on the relay weekend, for example, it would there'd be a broader reach, because people that don't come into Second Life could be running on another track, which they can teleport in from Franco Grid or from any other grid. One of the greatest things about this weekend was when Safia brought the guys from Japanese SLTV on, for example.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Now, there are Japanese grids out there, and some of them are on the hypergrid and things, and just as there's Franco Grid, which is French grid. And, if you have an event on that level, you get traction from, the whole world. Arguably, you get it in Second Life too, but...
Just remember that you're not, when you're doing an event like this in Second Life, you're not paying for the land, you're paying for the users. Second Life has between 80 and 100,000 users a day that are active. OpenSim has 10,000 a month on the hypergrid.
Yeah.
So it's not even comparable in scale right now.
No, I'm not thinking of it as a replacement, because Relay for Life for Second Life is a very established thing. I'm just thinking of it as a companion sort of thing that would be more cost effective and would gain traction over time, as we all hope the hypergrid does, and OpenSim certainly are.
That is definitely the case.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, Mal, is that you can increase the land area, but you're still working with the same number of prims. And if you look at the Second Life Relay for Life model, The teams have an area. Each team has its own campground.
Yeah.
And those use, that they're allocated prims, I presume, based on, the total available number of prims times the size of their campground.
Yeah.
And so you're not, it means people would have more campground, but they're not going to have more prims. So
yeah,
whether you would gain, I question whether you would gain anything particularly by major expansion.
Don't Second Life regions top out at 15,000 prims?
Yep, they do have 15,000 prim limits.
Second Open Sim tends to top out at 100,000. So you do have the same set number of prims over more regions, but that number is significantly higher to start with. The start number is higher.
And in the very first instance, I was simply thinking of the length of that track, because everything. I mean, the campsites and all the wonderful builds that really are fascinating, but the focus of the event really is on the track and the laps. I suspect a lot of the people keep doing lap after lap after lap, and don't actually diverge from the track and investigate some of the adjacent builds, the parts they can't see. They will often stay on the track. I'm sure people take odd breaks, but if the relay is the main thing. It's in the name. And I just suddenly saw the Vale region thing as an extended track, just seems to work.
Oh yeah. Does Second Life donate the land for this event?
No, I believe they do.
I'm
have
pretty
to
sure
pay
they
for
did.
it.
No, I thought they did donate those Sims. I think they did. I heard somebody say that.
I have a feeling there's a convention there. They bring them up, if not for free, but certainly for cheap. I mean, they're always in the same place, and I think they just vanish. And the only one remaining is the main RFL island, as it were, the Welcome Centre. And I suspect they've got some kind of arrangement. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be very silly for Linden Lab not to donate as well in their own way to something like that.
But it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. But I'm glad that they do.
I mean, we did. Sadly, we didn't get Ebbe Olberg coming in and handing over a $50,000 check, but you can keep wishing. It maybe came in other ways. So yes, yeah. But as I say, this year broke all records. So he's complaining. I'm just thinking of extended options, really. When you've been doing something like that for 2 days, you become very aware of the lag and the problems, and you think, now, wouldn't it be great if we could do this so that it was without some of those problems? But
even with all the problems, as of right now, the totals page says $407,025 US.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's definitely a little clap there. Yeah.
I did a quick check too on prior years. Last year's total was 393. 2012 was 375. And the thing to keep in mind about that 407,000 at the moment is that number will go up.
Because they're open for another week.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I think in many cases they have pledges and they can't really count the full totals.
And they still have, is it the Breedables Fair to go? And that's a very big that's their biggest hitter.
There's,
right? Isn't that coming up?
Breedables is over.
Is it over? Okay.
Right.
Well, there's something big coming up.
There's still silent auctions going on.
Yeah.
They have the home and garden still to come.
Okay, that's what it
is.
is.
And the Christmas fair, which I think still counts.
Yeah, but I think they have a cutoff based on the history numbers. And actually looking at this year's total page, the totals begin from August 10th, 2013. So I think, they have there's a cutoff date that marks the end of a given year.
Yeah, that's usually what used to be called the wrap-up party, but sounds like it's going to be renamed into the rollover party.
So I suspect this year Home and Garden being in September would actually end up in next year's. Um,
Yeah,
I
Stingray
know.
did. They were
I
talking
know.
about that. Sorry, Mel.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually going by Safia's commentary because she was saying, "Oh, it's not all over yet. It's things still to come," and she really honed in on Home and Garden and the Christmas ones. So I assume she meant the same year, but I don't know. Well, I don't know what financial year they were to.
Well, Home and Garden moved. It was usually held in the summer, but they moved it to early fall. So that is a change this year. And of course, there's people like me. I put in some bids at the art auction there on the Relay Sims, and I've won at least one piece. So I'm going to have to go pay for that, and that will up the total a little bit. And they had the raffles, and there's still people shopping on the Sims, going into the campsites and checking out the relay vendors. So it's still going to climb a bit. And what was it, Safra, was it Old Soul who put the challenge out there for the new total amount to reach was 409,000 US dollars?
Yeah, wasn't it 401 or something? 401k at the beginning?
The
Because
original,
that's
Yeah.
something to
the
do with
original target,
retirement.
the original one was 401, 401, and that's to do with the American. From what I'm from the UK, obviously, but it's to do with the American retirement fund. Apparently, when you retire, you have to have, or there is something about this number 401
You can
that's
opt.
linked to
You can
retirement.
opt to have. That's the best retirement plan there is. There are many others, but that's the ideal
Yeah.
one. So that's a good one. Yeah.
So, yeah. So they decided 401, and the idea of let's retire cancer was going to be the.
Okay.
That's where that's come from. But the 401 got smashed about 2/3 of the way through the relay. We did it quite early on. I mean, last year we were about 2 hours from the end when we finally hit total. This year we were probably somewhere nearer 10 hours when we finally hit total. So it was very early on. It was a big surprise for everybody. So they raised it, and I'm pretty sure, because I've been listening into so many streams and everything else, I'm sure I heard 510 was the number I'm sure I heard. But I heard 505 as well. But I'm pretty sure I heard 510.
I'll just come in here, actually. I've got La Pais here and Daniel Voyager, for that matter, in the channel chat. Welcome, guys. If you wonder why I'm not actually talking in chat this week, it's because there's no keyboard attached to the computer the studio's on. But welcome, guys. They're actually clarifying a few things there. The total viewers we had via the main link at Slartist was 723 viewers on live stream. And you can probably say that was 800 if you add in the separate figures Livestream was giving us on their side. And yeah, Safia, Safia's in the chat too. Wonderful. Safia says the total will end in August 31st. So the total for the year will be announced on August 31st. And Home and Garden will move into 215. There, yes, right. So a bit of clarification there. And Lap's also telling us that 401k is a retirement plan you contribute to in the US. Right, okay. Well, thanks, guys. Always good to have our audience there to put us right when we're speculating or whatever. Okay, well, I actually think, given the state of some of us after this relay, we really should probably start wrapping the show.
Do you want to give out some kudos to the staff that did run RFL One Last Gasp? Because we had some incredible people.
In
they
fact,
worked so hard.
I would love to give that honour to you, Petlove.
Well, I'll miss somebody, but I guess I'll start from the top. I mean, Safra, for goodness sake, Safra, you jumped in cold where no man or woman dared to go to take over running the event from Safia, right? And Ash, I mean, not to take it over, but to carry on the torch. I don't know where to start. I mean, we had the great tech crew, we had the great desk crew, we had all the great, every part of it was fantastic. It took a village. It really did.
Yeah.
And they did good.
Yes.
They did. I mean, I don't like listing names here. I mean, there's obviously people like Ashling,
We
who were
could.
who was the director. There was Safra here, who was the producer, let alone the audio mixer on the day. But there was you and Emo and a whole load of other cameras. So
Secret, Safia gave it a shot.
yeah, and
Racer.
Elric, for example, is a
Elric, yeah, sure.
fantastic camera.
Well, yeah, he does Designing Worlds, and
yeah.
who knows what else.
Yeah, so we see him as a presenter, but he's a fantastic cameraman too. So yes, there was Elric. Xander was great because, especially as he wasn't, for various reasons, he wasn't involved in the relay organisation this year, so he was free to really be a major commentator.
He knew the drill, though. He knew the drill very well, right?
And we had the meeting. I and Elric and Racer were on T1 Radio before it started. That was fun. And Safia brought, as I said, the SL TV people from Japan in, and Vale da Silva, who's been on this show quite a bit, from Virtual Voice,
right.
came on.
Jean. We had Angie came back. It's the first time I've seen her all year. Angie Mornington. Yeah. And she did a smash job.
I'm
We
going to
had
have to say
Pookie.
2 people.
Pookie. Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Pookie.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Safia,
I'm going to say Pookie and Emo because both Pookie and Emo had to or did a lot of the on-track interviews with me. And because we were doing one every 30, 40 minutes almost. And as soon as we
You
finished
said
one,
18. How many did we do? 18 of them or something? 14?
we did 80. No, we did 14 pre-records in 3 days, and each of those pre-records were a half-hour slot.
And 3 idents. 3 idents. Let's not forget them. Those shorter things. Elric did the voiceovers on them. And there was something else we did too. I forget.
I think what I should say to people is that if you go to slartist.com, there are going to be some. I think some of the sessions interviews are actually going to be posted independently there, as is our show, of course. But they do have a page where you can access the relay channel, or just go to livestream.com virtual RFL, and that channel is constantly on air, so you can relive all this stuff. For the foreseeable
future. All year long.
I mean, we've had that channel running 24/7 for the last year, and it's just always been showing the replay of last year, and there are always viewers there watching it. So it's good stuff.
Let's not forget. Let me just throw in too. Safia, of course, and also Ash and Jer. I understand they did all the landscaping. I knew they both did a lot. I know they did all of it around where we where the building was. They did our building for us.
Yeah, Ash went right.
Ashland,
Ash went right down to the beach, and Jeremy did all the wooden platform and all the fountains and stuff around the actual Tethon building. Yeah, they were at it for a few days.
There's a whole nother film there. Saffron, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, sorry, I interrupted you actually. But I was going to say, there was Safia, who's been guiding me ever since February as well. And I know Mal has been guiding me as well. Certainly most of you know the results of our long conversations in the form of a very vibrantly multicoloured email. So I've discovered the highlighter tool.
They were so pretty.
Yeah, I'm like that when I'm marking work at school as well. I get out with highlighters and fluorescent attack the kids' work. They always come in with sunshades on to look at the highlighting of the work I've done for help. But it's quite fun. But seriously, there was so much back-end work and so many people supporting from so many directions with what had to be done that you don't realise the size and the scale of what we're doing until you're there. You're about 2 hours or 3 hours. I think for the first time it actually hit me, the size and the scale of what we were going to do, about the day before.
Yep,
when I was looking at the run sheet.
Huge job.
And I was looking at that. Yeah, you're looking at the run sheet, you're looking at all the interviews that you got to do, and you're looking at all the spaces, and you're thinking, now what? That was, it was like a whole moment of,
It was serious
now,
programming. It was just like serious, television or whatever programming, channel programming. And there's a lot of time to cover, and you had to herd a lot of cats.
Well,
was what we
absolutely.
tried to do. We tried this year very, very hard to match all the trackside interviews with the themed lap. So when it was kids hour, we went to a kids camp. When it was black and white hour, we went to a black and white camp. So I'd spent 2 days going around the track, looking at each of the themed hours and matched it down to a camp. So we did Skunky during the animal hour. We did a cartoon sim when there was, I can't remember what it was now, when it was the anime hour. So we tried to match, really did try to match the hours with the campsite interviews. And that was something that was sort of like desperately trying to keep on top of. And again, yourself, Pookie, Emo, Safia were fantastic at getting to those sims on time so that we could keep that momentum.
And Cinders too. You say to Cinders, we want you to go from
Yes.
point A to point A, B, C, D, and Z, and then show up back here in 3 seconds. And she'd go, okay, and do it.
Wonderful. Yeah, I
Well,
think
it's a great team.
Yeah.
yeah, I think we can blow our trumpets here and sort of our own trumpets and just say for all of those involved, we're very pleased with ourselves and think we did a wonderful job. But of course, the event itself was the main
point,
thing, and and I think it was highly successful as always.
See, we pat ourselves like this, but we have to then say, you look at people like Sunshine, who has spent endless hours feeding information into us and being there to support all of our technical needs. We've had people like Sting, and we've had people like Trader from T1,
Nikki.
who've given
Don't
us
forget
access
Nikki.
to the stream. We've had, Nikki.
Nikki,
We've
oh.
had so much support. We've had so much support from the main relay, the committee, the team captains that have all stepped forward. I mean, seriously, how many people stepped forward to do those interviews at a moment's notice? Both beforehand, they've rescheduled personal things within their own lives. They've stopped parties, they've stopped all sorts of events within themselves to give us that little half an hour, 45 minutes we needed. And even during the relay, they've come out of events, they've come out of all sorts of things so that we could come there and film them. And that is part of the magic of what we've done.
Absolutely. Well, I've just got an update from La Paisian in chat. Actually, he has permission to post 16 of the recorded interviews, which will be on Slartis tomorrow, which is also the place, of course, you go to see our program in replay. High definition and also available on your iPad, Android, and everything else. He says he would have posted them today, but I would have had his scalp. Well, I think you're more or less free to do it now, Lap. The event, at least, is over. We obviously are a bit fussy about holding back our content, so it's exclusive to the relay. Anyway, I think we need to take our little wrap. I'm not totally dropping like I was yesterday, but we're approaching our 2 hours as well. So let me go around. I'd just like to go around the table. Oh, well, it's hardly a table here. Love our new seating. It's crazy seating we've got here.
I love the seats.
Yeah, I know.
They're too far apart still, though. I got to go a mile.
Yeah,
Ducks.
they're all different, I've got this rocking chair, and Tara's on she hasn't really got a chair. She's just hanging out on this tree stump. It's just, it's rather cool. You don't see many television shows with sets like this, I'll tell you. I thought I'd go around the table and just any closing thoughts from anybody. Let me start with Safra. It's very hard for us, our closing thoughts, not to be Relay for Life, but I mean, we think we've done a good job and everything else. But anything else, Safra, events that have happened recently or coming up that you're keen to promote or just mention?
Well, to be honest, the what I would call the wrap-up ceremony, but they're going to call the rollover. I'm looking forward to that. seeing who gets credited. Interesting. I want to hear what the final totals were, the successes. I know that's a big thing, and the new committee normally gets announced then. So it'd be interesting to hear how the new committee is going to form itself. And then, for me personally, the next biggest thing is going to be the expo, the Christmas expo, where they do the Best of SL Awards, the Avatar Choice Awards.
Oh yes, I think I need.
Right.
I think this
That's
show
it.
should be nominated for an Abbey this year. Whoever's nominated, anybody out there, nominate Inworld Review for the Abbey thingy.
Abbey Choice Award.
Yeah, it's never.
The Abbey Choice Awards.
There is a category for TV show, and it's always been. I've sort of half won by being on another show, but this show's never been nominated. I can't do it myself.
Well, Mal,
so somebody.
if you have a hunt, we'll also nominate you in the Hunties for Happy Hunting.
Ooh,
but you have to throw your own hunt.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
That's a very
that takes
popular
some
show
organizing.
too.
Yeah, Tara. Yes.
In your dreams.
In my dreams, I thought so. Well, you never know. You never know what might happen there.
Blessing.
Okay. Let's move on.
Herding cats.
Yeah. Cinders, same question really. Obviously, there'll be a new Happy Hunting this week, just as there was one last week. Oh, and I will mention, by the way, folks who follow our channels, Meta World 1, our lifestyle channel, did not get, because of our FL, did not go up refreshed on Friday, and it will actually go up with Week in View tomorrow. But and Happy Hunting will be on that. It will indeed. But Cinders, any exciting things recently other than Relay, and anything coming up?
For me, basically, is trying to narrow down the choice of hunts that we showcase and feature every week. And oh gosh, there's always something going on here on the grid, and I like checking it out. And for me, of course, the next big things that I'm planning for are the Home Expo and the Christmas Expo, because I'll be a merchant in both of those. So it means now that Relay is almost officially done for this year, I need to start focusing on what I am going to make for both of those events. And I better get cracking, because the first one, Home and Garden, is going to be here in September. Gives me about 2 months. And I like to make my own textures, and I'm a little fussy, so yes, I need to get focused here.
And as soon as one job stops, a whole other one surfaces, and they're all linked, of course. Yeah.
Oh, and my other goal, folks, is viewers of the show know in the past I go on about my inventory count, and officially, as of today, I am at 75,827 items. My goal is by Christmas, I get down to 50.
I don't believe that. I've got more than you.
You mean up to 100?
You do?
I'm 85,000 or something. 88,000,
Oh, wow.
I think. I've just never cleaned it. I can't face the task.
Well, Mel, and you're also something of a pack rat. I mean, you pick up.
He is? Oh.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling so bad then.
If it's free.
Well, true, but no, I got a lot of board stuff too. That I whenever I see a costume, I like, I not whenever, but I will pick them up, and people say they never change my clothes here on set. But actually, the thing that makes me buy things, I think, is that would make a good prop, a character part for a machinima or something.
You never
and of course,
know. You can always use it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Of course, it's totally inappropriate for the personal me avatar, as it were. It's just a character thing I picked up. And, I've got them sort of organized, but somehow, getting around to finding things to delete and stuff. If everybody goes to... I think I'll have to wait for this magic moment where everybody suddenly teleports to Second Life 2 and is forced to give up their inventory. Maybe then I'll learn my lesson. Anyway, Petlove, how about you? Stuff happened coming up.
Coming up. Let's see. I think the main thing are the AVIs and the Hunties and the UWA contest, and just other. I have a fashion show I'm still working on for Live Glam, but mostly I'm looking to relaxing and looking back on the fond memories of the past couple weeks. It's always good to work on a nice, incredible team, which is one of my main passions in Second Life. I'm just amazed at who I get to work with and the great things that we can do. So it's a real privilege, a real treat. I heard the word privilege earlier today, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
So,
I think so
yeah.
too. And there's, the energy that we get from working as teams and to
Yeah.
deadlines and things like that is invigorating. It probably makes the quiet periods where you can do more solitary things afterwards all the more rewarding too, by contrast.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a very good feeling. It really is, and it does
Yeah.
filter into your whole experience. So yeah, it's great.
Great. Maria, anything from you that hasn't come up yet? Exciting week or future? Oh, have I lost Maria? Have you muted?
Her lips are moving, but there's no one home.
No, she's back.
Yay!
Yeah, I had it on mute. I was just saying that I was hoping to remind people about that event at 2 p.m. today, but I can't remember what that event was and can't find a link to it anymore. And there's a pair of pants standing on top of me. Oh, it's
Yes.
gone now.
I
Actually,
have
yes,
strategically dodged them.
Yes, there is there appears to be an avatar here with a name tag and they're totally invisible on my screen anyway, hanging around behind you.
No, right now in front of me, he's just a pair of pants.
He's
A pants avatar. Who only in Second Life.
That was just so strange.
It's funny. We do this show week in, week out, and we don't officially announce we're in front of a live audience or anything. So it's actually very rare we see anybody who's not here for the show.
Okay, we need a bouncer for the stage.
Oh well, you have.
joined
do. We have
today.
Tara.
Yeah, I have the ability to do so if it's necessary.
Anyway,
No, he's
That
a
was
newbie.
funny.
He joined today.
Oh, that's okay
Yeah.
then.
oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
We'll forgive him. I suspect the flying trousers effect.
I love it.
Probably just doesn't know how to put the rest of the kit on yet.
A new age is born. Breathable
least- at
clothes.
least- At least he was wearing pants.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I've forgotten your name already. I've forgotten your name already, Mister.
Maria.
No, not you. I have forgotten
See,
the
he
name.
sees a pair of pants and he forgets everything he ever knew.
Hip race.
I have forgotten.
right.
I have forgotten the name of the avatar wearing flying pants, but I would just like welcome. I
There
would
it
just like to welcome you to Second Life and wish you the very best endeavours in sorting out your wardrobe and subsequent adventures. So welcome.
That's right, you've already inspired us.
We're not taking the
All
piss. Not taking the piss.
Skip Race has raced off to skip to something else.
Right. Okay. Maria, we were
Okay,
on you, weren't we?
So unless you can remember what event that was, I'm not going to be able to remind people about it. Do you?
No. It was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. It was like hours and hours ago. All right. In that case, just remind people, if you have an idea for the long-term plans of OpenSim, send me a note, maria@hypergoodbusiness.com.
Very good.
So that's going to be. Let's try to solve the problem of the future of OpenSim, just between us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have now quickly looked over the way and been prompted what the thing was. We were talking about the safaris earlier, and it's actually the other Hypergrid Adventures Club or something. That is,
Oh right, the Littlefield one where they went
That's
to falling water with the Frank Lloyd Wright building. Yes, that sounds like a great trip.
okay, well that quite literally adventure will be starting in now.
Yes.
So when you turn off your TV, folks, you might want to go to OpenSim and look up the Littlefield grid and
Yes.
go in search of adventure. Should be great. Okay, well, final word to well, I'm going to get the final word, no problem. But Tara, your roundup.
You always have the final word, Mal. Yes. Well, let's see. I don't have anything else to add to what I covered earlier. Just a reminder to go get those tickets for Paradise Lost. I will continue to report back on dodos and other critters of a breedable variety, and who knows what else. My project this week is to figure out where I can park my secret garden from SL11B as a permanent spot. I'm still playing with possibilities on that.
I wouldn't mind seeing it behind the stage here somewhere, actually.
I don't think it will fit unless I do a major overhaul on some portion of Manjiang, which I'm not particularly inclined to want to do. Anyway.
Oh well, we'll find somewhere.
I'll figure it out. Yes.
Yeah, that was indeed a lovely build as well at the birthday. So yes, we'll go there. Right. Well, it is time for me to wrap. Hope you've enjoyed our chat. Hope it's been audible, given the fact that we're all slurring. Well, half of us are anyway, with tiredness. If you want to watch this show in replay, by the way, because we not that many watch live, but we get a lot of replays. Just go to slartist.com. That's SLARTIST, and you can view us and all our batch shows, of course, anytime they're in good old high resolution and on your mobiles as well. And